fact, I don't know what would be.
I mean, that center map hazard is certainly hazardous.
Did you just say, well, it's certainly hazardous? I don't. Okay, well.
All right, Gen.G, they're rolling out.
Anymore. All I do is listen to the beautiful sounds of the game. We're rolling out here. Nothing surprising from either side. Gen.G rolling out on the McCree comp. We've seen them use this on well once before in their match against Meta Athena.
And that's why you see Stalker in play here, of course, on the McCree, right? Element Mystic, though. Ooh. Yeah, you know what they've got.
That was a pretty close pull there. Hanbin almost found himself going into the pit, managed to get out of there, but Gen.G actually have complete control of the point right now, and Hanbin kind of looking a little worse for wear. Gets caught out, pulled into the pit. You can't avoid it twice. That's a good start here for Gen.G against the Pacific Showdown champs. Stalker not quite finding the shots he needs. Another one into the pit. Goodbye, Sparkle. Oh, Oberon deadly with those halts today.
You can see Stalker a little bit frustrated with himself. Doesn't hit as many shots as he nearly would have liked. They're going to hold up very aggressively here, are Gen.G. Again, that first fight, it's so hard to dislodge an Orisa when she started to get going. And Oberon, had that double halt. So two large targets getting into the well, did get the environmental kills, has very close to that supercharger. And this next fight for Element Mystic is going to be really interesting because Doha not close to that EMP yet.
No, but Stalker does have the Deadeye online. Could be pretty easy to find this as long as he doesn't get bullied here by Takoyaki. Is getting juggled around right now and taken down before he could pop the Deadeye at all. Oberon also going down over on the side, so now the rally is the only thing really keeping Gen.G in this fight. It's a low damage comp for Element Mystic though, so it's hard to break through that, and it's even harder to break through a Transcendence. Gen.G, they're just gonna out-sustain, they're gonna weather the storm and keep control of the point.
That's a really interesting look there from Gen.G. They commit the Transcendence. They know they can win the fight, but now, heading into the next one, Bliss is going to have to be the master here of avoiding Doha's EMP. Oberon did make the switch off of the Orisa. Again, a slow-moving target. Does not get back to the point really quickly, so you do have the Winston coming to play now from Gen.G. So we are seeing that McCree composition looking to kind of play it out here. Stalker, this is gonna, how they set up against the EMP is going to be what I'm looking at here, and it looks like, yeah, Bliss playing so very passively against Doha's EMP.
But he doesn't have the sound barrier online yet, and the EMP is going out. Oh, a couple players already deleted. Bliss didn't even have a chance to use the EMP he was hiding for. Gen.G's used to gonna get wiped off the map. They want to stall this out as long as they can. They're nearly at that last fight territory, so if they can just mosey their array around this point, try and keep Element Mystic on their toes, they can come back in, win one more fight, and have a good win condition on this first round.
The biggest problem here is that Element Mystic did not actually commit that much to that fight. Stalker now switching to the Zarya here, the McCree. They find that not nearly as valuable. Creative also with the switch to the Ana, so wholesale swaps coming in from Gen.G. Again, you did mention this is last fight, but Element Mystic do have control of this fight. Again, they have the self-destruct, the rally, and the sound barrier, so they will have a lot of sustain through this fight, and Gen.G are going to have to try and push their way forward into this.
This should just be a dry push, really, for Gen.G, especially now that they have the Ana. Unless a huge anti-nade comes out while Gen.G's pushing forward with the sound barrier, there's not really a chance for Gen.G to get in, although the sleep on a Doha does help. They don't have to worry about EMP for a moment, but you do have to worry about the angry monkey, Takoyaki, slapping him around, throwing him everywhere, and Gen.G just gonna have to try that one again.
I mean, Gen.G uses the sound barrier to engage, right? But they don't find a ton of value, again, with that sound barrier. They get zoned out with the self-destruct and Element Mystic. They did not have to use the biggest tool in their toolbox, which is the EMP. And now, again, Gen.G have nothing to deal with at the rally, but, that it shuts you down. And if Doha gets a pretty large-scale EMP, Gen.G could be sitting in last fight territory on their own attack. So, Element Mystic looking to set up here. Again, they have that support ultimate to sustain through the fight. And all eyes on Doha yet again.
And Doha's just waiting over on the side. Might even just throw the translocator in. He doesn't have it set up right now, so nothing's really stopping him from just yeeting himself into the lines whenever he feels like, but he's going to play a little bit more passively right now. He wants to catch as many members as he can with this EMP, and they're playing split, but they group up as they try and push Element Mystic off of the point. There's nothing sustaining Gen.G, most specifically Oberon and Wakid. They're going to find the wrong end of that EMP, and the rest of Gen.G are going to go for a quick reset back to spawn.
Yeah, quick reset. This is going to be really tough for them. 93% and counting. Can they even contest? This is going to be a really close, and with how aggressively Element Mystic is playing, it's unlikely that they're going to get a real full-scale fight here, will Gen.G.
Bliss does get onto the point. He also gets hacked. Not looking great here for Gen.G. Bliss going down, no way to speed on in. It all comes down to Overon popping the Primal. He's looking to displace Element Mystic as much as he can right now, but he's not getting anything done, and the rest of his team is falling around him. Self-destruct, mostly just a zoning tool, but it hardly even matters. Even with Rakid having the nano boost, he's not going to live very long at all. And Element Mystic are going to clean up and take this first round of Ilios.
Well, that's just Element Mystic understanding their composition so well. Yeah. And honestly, an unsung hero, we haven't really mentioned him, but Sparkle, playing the diva, you know?
Not something you'd consider in his hero pool.
Yeah, and he looked pretty good with it. I don't think, you know, it was not a bad showing by any stretch of the imagination. And now, you know, Sparkle, consistent on every hero he's played. We've seen from him this far in this season.
Well, we are going to get a bit of a switch up here for Gen.G going into this next map. Makes sense. No real reason to run on Orisa and McCree here. So it's just going to be the standard Sombra Goats, the 3-2-1, whatever you like to call it. You know what it is, folks. It's triple support with that Sombra rocking out. So now it's almost a mirror matchup. The key difference, Element Mystic coming out, it looks like they're expecting a DPS composition.
Yeah, Sparkle stays on the diva. And we'll see how they choose to react to this. Doha, again, scouting out, looking for that early engage. And, Element Mystic back to spawn. Sparkle, yeah, they're switching as well. Yeah, they're okay, this is a little bit strange. We're seeing the Sombra, actually it goes back to the Lucio. Thought about the map, and then clicked on the wrong character, was actually looking for the Lucio the whole time.
Ooh, Onbin's taking a lot of damage, though. Element Mystic can't really get into this, so Gen.G are just going to get this first cap for free because the spam damage just kept them out. Now Gen.G, they just get to sit and wait.
We'll see how, you know, they choose a very aggressive engagement here. Yeah,
no, that's just a straight push down the middle right there. Element Mystic, they're not going to bother with the point until Gen.G's removed from the map, and that's not going to take very long. Oberon going down, just deleted from the face of the earth. Takoyaki is taking a lot of pressure, but Element Mystic have capped the point in all of this, and now they just get to sit here and wait like Gen.G was.
Yeah, I mean, both teams trading back and forth. It was a very decisive fight from Element Mystic, and that's what you're kind of looking for. But here, that EMP, as I was about to mention, it goes straight down. Yeah. Takoyaki found out.
There's no real way for Element Mystic to deal with that. Thankfully, they do hang on to their ultimates. They're going to have a good way back into the next fight. But it's a pretty quick flip back here. It's going to be 24 versus 20 and counting.
A hot potato lighthouse here as they both teams shout, "You take it," back to each other. But now Element Mystic are now in the position that Gen.G was, with Doha having the EMP online. And it's up to Creative now. Can they avoid the EMP? Can they sustain through the loss of abilities? And again, Doha looking for that engagement, playing low on the ground. It's going to fall in. And here they're trying to play up Oberon again.
Oh, Earthshatter actually coming down, catching MCD in the backline, but not able to make anything of that kill. Takoyaki is removed, however, so even with the EMP coming out from Doha, it's not necessarily the advantage Element Mystic were looking for, but with the grab, that'll be all the advantage they need. It's just clean up now. A lot of percent gain for Gen.G, but we continue this game a hot potato.
That was really unfortunate for Gen.G, as despite the Transcendence, Oberon was taken down, and so, you know, that's when you lose your front line, you really lose your protection. You lose that cleave damage too to help sustain through the fight, right? To help take the fight away, and Oberon ends up not able to help them, and Element Mystic take it back again. Though we're continuing that Sombra.
Oh wow, aggressive grab right there, catches Doha and Sparkle up on the high ground. Nice heads-up play from Wooyall to just completely decimate them, punish that over-aggression.
All right, you take it, says Element Mystic. So we, you know, it's a little bit back and forth, but they didn't even have to use the EMP. That was such a clean graviton surge, right?
Yeah.
You know, Unique can't use the sound barrier because he has to keep it. You know, the EMP would just come out straight after. So Gen.G are in a really good position here now in that last fight situation.
Oh, Doha got slept over there on the side, I believe. That could have been bad, but some spam wakes him up, saves his life there. So now it's still going to be a pretty even fight heading on into this. But Element Mystic, like you said, they're walking into an EMP, and they're not walking with much time right now. There's the translocate into the EMP. Only catches 3, but it's more than enough to kill Takoyaki because he was behind the wall. I don't think he got the sound barrier onto him.
Oberon!
It just wasn't enough. Oberon says, "You know what, though, guys? If we don't have a main, if you don't have a main tank, it's only fair we don't either." Kind of pins over off into nowhere, and Element Mystic get the point for free right now.
Yeah, that was a big mistake by Oberon. You do not charge in that situation. It's unfortunate, but oh, this is really disastrous for Uyal. They grab him down.
Okay for the moment, but it does force the sound barrier out with that Graviton Surge. Doha's got that EMP too. Not even going to really need it. Maybe will now that the Nano goes down onto Oberon. It's a lot of pushing power in the front lines, but
oh, the shield.
Honestly, it hardly even seems like Element Mystic care about the Nano Reinhardt. Takoyaki just walks past him and says, "Don't worry, team, I'll just make sure he doesn't get any healing."
I mean, Oberon was slept, so they bring the shield up. Takoyaki blocks all line of sight with his shield, and they can kill Oberon through it, so it's a really smart play by Takoyaki. And Element Mystic now, in the fight where they need to win, they have all the tools necessary. Here comes that EMP.
It's gonna be nasty. It catches 4. Oh, there's no chance for Gen.G to sustain through this. Even with the rally coming out, it's trivial for Element Mystic to clean this one up. EMP in desperation. Actually, MCD dead. Takoyaki bioed. The rest of Element Mystic wiped off the map. It was a comeback that I didn't expect. But Stalker with the EMP proves me wrong. Gen.G gonna send us to a third and final round of Control.
Oh, and this has been a problem actually for Element Mystic in their EMP fights. They're so used to winning them that they go and chase after a kill and leave their backline exposed. Credit to Stalker for farming the last 20% of that EMP in that final fight, right? But I mean, that's not a fight you win if you're Gen.G. It's at least not on paper. Very, very curious choice by Element Mystic to chase off in separated fashion and end up losing the fight. So again, a round which I thought was going to end with Element Mystic for the first time in the round, winning back-to-back fights to close it out, turns into a continuous... I mean, the round stayed true to itself until the very end. So
it's just constant back and forth. No team gets to hold on to the point.
Right.
You have to earn it back.
Yeah. Well, we are going to be on Ruins.
Here.
Yeah.
Moving into Ruins. Hopefully, get a little bit more. We get some defense. Hopefully here. Same, fairly mirror compositions. MCD still rocking the Ana, unsurprised. Has been more so the hero that he's liked to play here.
Oh, that was close.
Not that close. There's a wide berth there. Oh, that sleep dart was close, but the hat comes out regardless. Oh, Takoyaki separated, pushed out of line of sight. MCD couldn't heal him whatsoever. But yet again, Oberon, after Takoyaki goes down, Oberon trades out. So it's not an inherent advantage here for Gen.G. Stalker actually caught out onto the point as well. It's a lot of damage and utility gone for Gen.G. And even though they started with an advantage, it doesn't look like they're going to get this first cap.
Something we don't talk about a lot is the actual hack target. And something that something that Doha has been doing consistently is he's been hacking Stalker, and Stalker can't translocate out. So you see the Sombra on the front line with no escape, and that is not a very secure player at all. Stalker goes down, and that costs Gen.G that first fight.
Ooh, rally coming out. That's going to be more than enough to take out Oberon. Man, Element Mystic just brute forced their way through. Who needs anything but a bit of armor to wipe Gen.G off the map?
Yeah, and that's gonna actually put Doha back in contest with Stalker. Winning a fight off of Rally is one of the most effective ways in Overwatch to gain an ultimate economy. It is, this is an ultimate that is considered, quote, throwaway, just because of how quickly it builds. But it's got a really, really high ability to close out fights if it's the only one used. Hanbin helps them build up now to that 5-pack of ultimates, only unique, trailing behind.
Yeah, Doha in the back line too. Ready at any point with the EMP, but the first EMP comes the other direction. Element Mystic not really phased by it, however. They're doing just fine. They just disengage, they back up, let the EMP run its course, and only now they're even getting to a fight on the point. Not much left for Gen.G to work with either.
That is really unfortunate that Creative was forced to use the Transcendence because the EMP is still online.
Oh, there it is! Catches all 6! Gen.G not going to be able to sustain that. Creative punishes Doha for his beautiful ultimate ability, but it's not going to be a punish that nets Gen.G anything more than a little bit of a pat on the back for their flex support.
Yeah, this is disastrous for Gen.G. Though they do have ultimate economy coming to this next fight. The question is, can they even touch the point? They do have 10% to work with, so they will likely get a last fight. But we all used the Graviton in that last fight. And they don't really have, that confirmed kill ability anymore. Here comes that rally on the fight.
And now they have to fight on the objective as well.
That's a good anti.
Choose their angle of engagement. The anti does force the sound barrier from Unique rather early. So Gen.G, they have the chance to re-engage with their own sound barrier, but Oberon's down before he can get it. There goes your main tank. There goes your way of avoiding damage and applying damage of your own. And with the grabs coming out, Element Mystic can just clean up Gen.G. EMP in desperation. Catches 4, but doesn't accomplish much of anything. Element Mystic 100-0 on the last round to win Ilios.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons. That last fight actually is exactly the reason why we say there's no dry fights in Overwatch, because Element Mystic goes from zeros to full commit on ultimates in one fight, right? Yeah. So it's really impressive showing from them. Element Mystic, they take map number 1, but I think, you can see that Gen.G is a very good team, and they deserve their spot towards the top end of our bracket.
They're definitely fighting through this right now. And hey, lafon, guess what? We got a defense. There was a defense round 1 on that last map, and that kind of goes to show, maybe Element Mystic just needed to clean up their defense to show Gen.G what was true, but we'll see what's true after this short little break. We're going to be right back with map number 2. Welcome back to the first match of today. Element Mystic currently 1-up over Gen.G, but it wasn't an easy win, was it, lafon?
No, it wasn't, and it was actually more of a curious win than anything else. I think Gen.G had a close round on Well, a not-so-close round on Ruins, and then one, of course, on Lighthouse, which I think surprised both of us.
Yeah, I mean,
how that last fight turned out.
If you play it back, I literally said there's no way Gen.G can win, and then like 20 seconds later they won the round. So,
Stalker has been quietly impressive. Yes, Stalker was really impressive.
I agree.
Round. He played Sombra, he played McCree, which wasn't fantastic, but then played the Zarya as well. So clearly some flexibility in this player. Here we got a quick look at our second map. We're headed to France, and we're headed to Paris.
Paris, the bane of ranked players everywhere.
It's a very beautiful map, but
it's gorgeous, honestly. But let's talk about how this might go, because I think it's worth noting neither of these teams thus far this season have played on Paris, right? Because it just hasn't existed yet. So this is where we might see some new strategies. Paris, another one of those maps that kind of leaves things up to the wacky, especially on first point, right? You see a lot of bunker on first point. Not too many teams really willing to run Sombra Goats so far, which is what both these teams have been leaning towards. So
And I think
I'm
one of the most
interested to
interesting...
see what they'll pull out.
Right, and I think speaking of what they're, interesting compositions, one of the things that we could talk about is tempo and how these teams are playing. I think Paris forces a tempo shift, right? And that might actually work against Gen.G because to this point, they've been playing very high tempo.
That's true, but to be fair, on the last round, that high tempo, kind of more of a curse than a blessing, really.
Right.
They were running in, getting caught out. One of the things we highlighted before this series was how do teams play like O2 Blast did against Element Mystic? How do they catch Doha on his rotations? How do they adapt to him? And when Gen.G kind of just ran in, it gave Doha a lot of room to be wherever he felt like.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the real teller here. Doha has not switched off of... this reminds me of another Sabra player in Chinese Contenders, in Hacker, who just also can only lock Sombra.
Well, he'll be on his signature Sombra, as expected from Doha. Sparkle actually rocking the Pharah. Now, LaFon, you had some points about his Pharah when we saw it last week.
Yeah, on Ruins on Ilios, he actually played the Pharah as well. It looked good in the mechanical sense, but would often play very aggressive with his boosters and his concussive blast. So he got caught out more than once. That really was a problem. We all going into Scout as normal.
So Glister is actually in here for
Gen.G,
Stalker?
Yeah. Stalker usually plays on control, so that is, we've seen that now a couple times from Gen.G.
I was gonna say it's interesting because Wuyal's on the Sombra, but it was just a scout, so
yeah.
And it will be double sniper here, and the triple tank.
I mean, this is the triple tank is the more interesting thing because you've got the halt hook combo, which again, Element Mystic has nothing to shut down against, right? They don't have a diva, so they can't eat the halt. And there's no protection if someone gets hooked. So this is going to be, if they can get that combo off, this could be a real problem for Element Mystic.
Ooh, Sparkle actually is in a very bad place right now. He got split from his team entirely. The rotation of Gen.G cutting him off.
That's that aggression we talked about from Sparkle. Yeah.
Just talked about. Now Gen.G, they just get to go to the point. Element Mystic, they seem like they're kind of waiting this one out. They want to give it
my goodness,
so that they can come back in with Sparkle. He's going to come back on the Tracer, but Takoyaki just under so much pressure. Even with the Fortify, he just can't live much on the point. Unique getting hooked, that's a bad start too. Oberon does go down though, so now the shield advantage very much in Element Mystic's favor. The res coming through means that we get a little bit more even of a fight. The Dragon Strike pulls it to Gen.G's advantage though, and it will be a swift cap for Gen.G.
All right, that's going to be a very swift cap, and the question is, are they going to continue rolling with what they've got? They are, as they're going to keep the... wow, this composition... Yeah, Wakia does switch, so there's no more double sniper. They're running the Brig instead, and the question is here, can they survive this EMP? Because this EMP could put Element Mystic back in this map. If they can shut down this fight, if they can get the kill, that would be very big. Again, Glister, though, with the Infrasight, has vision.
Actually makes it so that Doha, his position is just completely known. He can't do anything.
Oh, what a hook.
He gets hooked! The EMP does catch on to 3, but that's not nearly enough for Element Mystic to roll through like they want to here, especially now that they're getting forced out by the whole hog. Glister finding the next kill too makes it even more difficult for Element Mystic, but it's not exactly where Gen.G want to be taking this fight. They're getting a lot of kills, but it's not anywhere near the point. They need to get on the objective. They need to get some progress out of these kills while they can. The respawns are going to start to come through. Doha not really finding much of anything once he's off his signature Sombra. Swapped over to the Doomfist just for a bit of stall. Takoyaki just desperately trying to live now that he's got this nano on him, but it's going to run out, and even with the Earth Shatter,
he misses the pin!
Pressure. He doesn't even get the pin on to Wuyal, so doesn't accomplish much of anything. It's a nice stall here for Element Mystic, but it's not looking good.
No, it's not, and now with literally the stall, Hanbin gets taken down. They have no one to contest. It goes out. Element Mystic, they round 1 ends, and all of that is just off the Infrasight, the power of Infrasight from Glister, right? You know where Doha is the whole time. You know how they're setting up for their rotations. You're able to stop them from finding the engagement they want. And yes, the remaining cleanup kills actually comes through when Sparkle goes down because he's not able to keep his energy. He's not able to build up the Graviton Surge. That could have been their win condition. Unfortunately, it's really good kite from Gen.G, and that means that, there's no final blows that come through. Element Mystic in all of that, they got 3 people to sub 100 HP. They were unable to close out on any of them.
You just brought up win conditions, and I think Gen.G are doing a good job of synchronizing their own win conditions, right? We just saw the replay of that Dragon Strike on first point, and it's a point-blank halt from Oberon that actually catches those 2 members. You can't really see it through the Dragon Strike animation, but you can see him come up in the assist feed, which gives you the indication that it was that halt. So that
and even adding on to these,
that you know how your composition works.
Right, but even adding on to that, I mentioned that they couldn't, commit onto any of those sub 100 HP characters, and that's because they had the whole hog and they had the supercharger, right? So Element Mystic has to have a really tough decision. Do we suicide rush into a fight where they have 2 of the most high damage ultimates to try and clean up kills, right, and possibly lose the fight, or do we try and kite those very high damage ones and try and stabilize for a later fight? Unfortunately for them, it was a no-win situation at the very end because they end up losing regardless.
So I have a question, LaFon.
Right.
Well, Gen.G double shield.
Double shield. I don't. We'll see. Usually you run a Winston with this, so you have a little bit more rotation. You have a target for the nano boost.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Especially because they don't have any.
Very hard to remove them from the point.
That is
true.
It
seems like a stall comp to me. Unless Creative just frags and kills Sparkle.
That reminds me of when Creative took 6 shots and killed a Fire Mercy combination before. So
last week, yeah.
Yeah, last week. Oh my.
Well, he's looking for more now too. He's all the damage you need if you're Gen.G. You look at this, you might say, this is a low damage composition, but not when Creative's hitting every other shot onto enemy team, then he doesn't really need to heal a whole lot as long as the shields are up.
This is going to be a really tough play, though, for Gen.G because of the amount of spam that Element Mystic has. If Element Mystic gets a pick off here, the point just unlocks in its entirety.
There's so much pressure onto Sparkle right now, though. Ooh, booped off of the high ground. This is not where Gen.G really want to be. Interesting right now, Gen.G kind of in 2 separate, mini packs right now. Unique getting caught out. Sparkle is not going to have the same kind of sustainability. He's going to find this out the hard way sooner or later. This isn't going to be a winnable fight for Element Mystic. Gen.G are just going to collapse, kind of pincer onto Element Mystic as they tried this rotation around the side to remove the high ground advantage, but didn't quite work out.
I don't often say this about pro teams, but it looks like Element Mystic is confused about what they're seeing, and they don't really. They're not really engaging on anyone, so Gen.G is just able to take the split apart targets and kill them. The thing too is because of the high health pools that Gen.G has, Element Mystic can't immediately frag out, so it buys time for Gen.G to get the pickoffs and they can sustain through a later fight. And Unique has not been able to resurrect any of the kills that come through, so this just keeps the fight going in Gen.G's favor.
It's a different
Unique again.
Now they're gonna actually
that's a good opening.
A lot more, and it gives Sparkle a much better chance to get this splash damage down. Barrage is online too. Dragon Strike, either one of those can be comboed with the halt, but they probably aren't going to even need those ultimates. Maybe the Dragon Strike will get thrown in. Yep, there it is. Just gonna zone Gen.G outforce the Immortality field. But actually, Keed wasn't even over there. He was behind. And Gen.G seems like they're just gonna back their way on out. Blister says, I don't like your barrage, but it's not gonna gain Gen.G control of point A.
But the thing is, that alone is going to put Element Mystic behind in time bank.
Yeah.
Just stalling out that long because they don't have, they're already they're going to be 5 minutes when they get to point B, and then the fight's going to take at least 30 seconds, and that's expecting them to win this next fight out super cleanly, which, surprise, they don't have any tools to work with.
Yeah.
Right, they only have the Transcendence.
Gen.G actually only swapping Huyao over to
the Sombra
right now, which is Blister has
and Wikid switched as well to the
oh yeah, Wikid did also switch. That's right. He was on the Baptiste, but now the Nano's out. Oberon just pushing forward, keeping Element Mystic at bay, but he's got to back up now. He can't out-sustain a Transcendence, but the Transcendence just buys some space, and now the grab is there. Gen.G, you got to follow up on it though.
Gen.G had no way to get back on that one.
They didn't have a way to get back onto it, but now they have to back up to the objective. They have drawn some resources out of Element Mystic, but
that's a good sleep on Doha.
Good sleep, a stun to combo with it. The bubble just a second too late. So Doha not going to be able to live there. Some trades coming through, but ultimately trades always favor the defense on the second point of assault. All of us know that at this point. Element Mystic committing to this fight though. They've got the rally online. They're working up to their own ultimates now. Sparkle nearly at the grab. If Gen.G can just pull back, wait out this sound barrier, they can come back in, lafon.
The biggest thing here though is that Doha, has the EMP as well, so Element Mystic could quite feasibly close it out right here, but Wuyall gets in first.
Yeah, Wuyall gets that EMP off. Hanbin is down. The rest of Element Mystic is low, but Element Mystic, they seem like they want to come in.
Doha got slept!
Actually just got slept. And his EMP, I think, it went off, I believe.
It did.
But
it
only
absolutely
caught
did.
Wuyall. That is not at all what you want if you're Element Mystic.
Their win condition just got taken away from them. Now, Sparkle has to be hero here with the Sombra. Now, Element Mystic have to commit their tank ultimates, and this fight is no longer looking as sure as it once was. Element Mystic does have the superior resources, it's true, but Gen.G bought enough time for them to get back into this fight. They layer support ultimates!
They just layered their 2 support ultimates. It does enable them to get the kill onto Oberon, and they're going to push forward with the Shatter, so it's not all in vain, but the problem is if Element Mystic don't clean up this fight now, then Gen.G are going to be able to get back into this hack onto Takoyaki, not netting much except it opens up Oberon to get this Shatter. The kill's coming through now as the respawn's starting to come in for Gen.G, but there's still players for Element Mystic on the point. Takoyaki is antied, but no one's there to connect onto the kill, and with Doha EMPing the remaining members of Gen.G, it's looking like it's just going to be a desperation stall. Element Mystic in a great spot to take this, but they're also on very low health, and Gen.G still are coming back. They're coming back on stall heroes, but it works out, and they force Element Mystic away.
Oh my goodness. And in all that, Doha does not have the EMP back, because he just used it to try and close the fight out, right? So Gen.G have now put themselves off the back of some heroics from Creative. They put themselves right back in this fight, and Element Mystic, at times it looked like that could have gone their way. They only had to take 2 ticks, remember, but it was so close. But really good stall from Bliss, and Wuyall allows them to come back in, and obviously the great play from Glister on the Doomfist.
Well, now Wuyall has this EMP, right? There's not much of anything for Element Mystic to win this fight out with. 4-man EMP, the rally's there, but is it even enough? Actually, yes! Doha
it was the Graviton was committed as well.
The grab came out from Sparkle and enabled the rest of Element Mystic to get some cleanup. Gen.G, they had every right to win that fight, but for once they lost it.
All right. Yeah.
I feel like these teams are just messing with us now, lafon. I feel like they're just going out of their way to be like, you know what? We shouldn't win this fight. Let's do it anyways.
I mean, Gen.G makes a crucial mistake. We're actually going to see it in this replay right here. They sound barrier into the fight, and that allows Sparkle to grab them for free. On the trailing edge, right, of that entire fight, they don't have any defensive ult to stabilize them through the Graviton. And Wuyall's EMP goes to waste because, again, they're grabbed and have no way to follow up on the hack targets. So Gen.G commit to a fight, and Sparkle says, that's very cool. I'll just stop you from doing it.
And I think it's worth mentioning that for you and me, lafon, one of our biggest concerns for Element Mystic after we watched their match against O2 Blast last week, right, was Sparkle's decision-making with his Zarya, right? His Gravitons were not superb. They were
and that's been a criticism against him for a long time.
But today, his grabs have been on point. We haven't seen anything that makes us go, oh no, why? Why would you ever do that, right? It's all been, yes, Sparkle, clutching it out. Now he's back on the Pharah, so his positioning is maybe going to have to be a little bit more conservative should he actually rock this on the attack.
All right, and here Gen.G are switching it up yet again, right?
Yeah.
Don't run cheese twice.
Don't run the same cheese twice.
We're seeing the Pharah Ashe combo, and we'll see. The biggest thing. Oh boy, Sparkle getting super greedy there. They do resurrect him obviously because he's out of line of sight, but this has been a concern I've had with Sparkle's Pharah ever since we saw it last week. He plays a really aggressively.
Oh, and Glister wants to punish it. You can just see.
Oh, that's a good dynamite.
He's only looking out for Sparkle. Anytime the Pharah peeks his head around
Sparkle
the corner,
again without mercy.
That was aggressive, but Sparkle actually makes the rotation there with a fraction of his health. So now Gen.G
but there's no one to heal him. there's no one, his Mercy did not get in the same play. So now, you know, there was an opportunity to punish. There comes in it. And because Sparkle had to take so many resources, his team's falling apart.
Yeah, Element Mystic, they've gained some ground, but at the cost of a lot of their health pool. You can see Takoyaki just hiding way over in the police lot, just praying that he gets healed up. He is going to be healed up, though, and now this is a little better of a staging area for Element Mystic to work their way in here. They're going to rotate around the side. They want to try and dive onto a meaningful target here, but they don't have a whole lot of time, lafon. We're down to 5 seconds. 4. MCD just dies too. That is crucial. Sparkle ever so low, but Glister's getting pressured. He can barely get away, but the rest of his team not going to be so lucky. It's an all-out brawl.
Oh, that Primal Rage.
Goes Wuyo. A Desperation Resurrection denied by Takoyaki. Rest of them going off the side. And Element Mystic, they will get the first point unlocked.
Oh boy, they had to commit everything by the Transcendence. Sparkle does not have the barrage. He did not deal a ton of damage, and this is going to be a wholesale swap coming in from Element Mystic here, as they need to get progress in second point, but they only have 20 seconds. Element Mystic does not have time to be standing around looking for changes.
Hey, look at that. It's dive. Look at that. We're going to have some good old dive. It's Sombra, not Gen.G, but this is, I mean, to a degree, it makes sense, but the problem
they don't have a win condition.
Regina still exists as a character, and Wiki just goes back and swaps. There's a reason Dive fell out of favor, and it's because it's hard to get through 3 supports here. It's overtime as Element Mystic engaged. The charger does go down. A lot of damage not available for Gen.G. Takoyaki, he just dives in, though. He gets taken out immediately, and Hanbin's going to follow him into the grave. Bob zoning out the tank line entirely. It's not looking good for Element Mystic here. They're going to need a miracle to try and get even a tick, and a miracle is not in sight for them. They're going to get wiped off the board, and Gen.G is going to be able to hold the second point.
And I mean, for Element Mystic, that is the expected result, right? They don't have a win condition coming in to second point, and Gen.G had 4, right? And even then, there may have been an opportunity where you could kind of try shut down to Bob, but Doha hacks Bliss, and so Bob has the only way to shut down Bob was taken away, and a well-placed Bob too from Gen.G meant that, you know, on point you can't contest because of the high damage output of that ultimate, and then you're diving into a supercharger. You just really don't, unless MCD's Transcendence worked overtime. But then there was then Creative was playing the Ana, so Element Mystic had no win conditions in second. So the fact that they got to second at all is actually really huge for them. But they're looking at almost a 5-minute time bank.
They're
more
down
time.
The barrel of a 5-minute gun.
More time than you start this map with.
I'm going to be very interested to see if Element Mystic have any kind of adaptations on their defense, because they kind of need them. It does seem that they're just going to go for 3-3. They're going to go back to basics, lafon. They're just going to say, you know what? We can afford... At the very least, they will have economy for second, right? At the very least, they will be able to draw. The problem I have with this is it's pretty easy to counter swap for Gen.G right now, right?
Right. And Gen.G are going to open up with this. There's no name for this composition.
I think it's a scout. I think Wuyell's scouting again.
Yes. Glister.
Glister
Okay, looks
switching, right? And you can see Wiki, he's just waiting by the spawn to swap there. But there is going to be some swaps.
Unique gets...
Actually, seems like they're just going to match it. Creative finds Zen. There you go, buddy. All right. We got some good old goats, lafon.
Welcome back. We won't see a ton of you in the future, I'm guessing, but Gen.G versus Element Mystic, round number 2. Here we go. Here comes that engage from the Winston. Oh boy.
Nice engagement from Takoyaki. Gets a lot of damage onto Gen.G. Even displaces them too, so Wiki's actually on the low ground now.
But now,
the rest of his team's gonna
Gen.G has better positioning at this point. They have control of the point.
They're just straight up on the objective.
Oh, that's MCD with the hero play.
A lot of damage to get there. MCD got the bio down, forced out so many resources from Gen.G, but
first tick taken.
A tick taken? But it seems like it's only going to be a tick. Despite the boop, Takoyaki just accepting his fate off of the map there. There's too many players down right now for Gen.G to really create a huge advantage.
Yeah, Sparkle also very far ahead of Glister. In fact, the tanks across the board for Element Mystic with much more progress than Gen.G did. So, I mean, Gen.G have to walk back this fight. They're going to have to force a fight here and try and get some resources out of Element Mystic because they don't really have anything to sort of counter out the damage coming through now from Element Mystic.
I don't know. There's just so many resources for Element Mystic as well. It's a practical smorgasbord of GOAT ultimate. They're going to begin with the rally. Sound Barrier traded for a rally. The bio forces that one out. Yet again, MCD coming up with the GOAT, the self-destruct. Not really finding much of anything. And Gen.G have kind of weathered the storm of a lot of these ultimates only really using their own support ults. The Shatter comes down. That's a great way to finish off a point. The self-destruct. Royale coming up with the goods. That's going to be point A going over. Gen.G guarantee themselves at least a draw on this match.
Yeah, Takoyaki not going to get the hero play this time around. Gen.G says no thank you, and now they're walking to second with a Graviton Surge, and Element Mystic have the sound barrier to work against it. That's literally it. So Gen.G, if they have a way to close out this, if they have a way to find the damage through this Graviton Surge, they could just close out the map right here. Again, they only need one tick, and they still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds left.
Unique does have the sound barrier, so hopefully Element Mystic have tracked that the Graviton Surge will be online. Unique gonna be playing a little bit split from his team, hopefully, to try and avoid that. You can see him off in the back. And keep in mind, it's straight goats, it's not Sombra, so Lister can't just chuck this out willy-nilly. He needs to pick a time, find an opening. The defense matrix is not rebounded. It catches on to everybody. The sound barrier comes out, but Takoyaki's still taking a bunch of
The Shatter's
damage.
good, Sparkle can go down.
It forces Sparkle onto the floor. There goes so much damage off the board for Element Mystic, and they're going to lose even more. Or maybe not, actually. Takoyaki does manage to disengage, but Element Mystic have to stay on the objective. The Shatter from Takoyaki clutches this one out potentially, and the Transcendence keeps them alive as well. Gen.G now have to back off themselves and accept the fact that they invested a lot for nothing.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Takoyaki for Oberon. Takoyaki, excellent play there. Recognizes the rotation, gets the Shatter off, and keeps them in this map. Gen.G, what looked like initially a very strong start for them is now slowly slipping away. A minute half remaining. So at best, 2 fights. And Element Mystic are looking in control of this next one as Sparkle getting close to that Graviton Surge.
Gen.G are going to have the sound barrier to engage. The Graviton not quite up as of yet. Gen.G might be able to just force their way into this fight, but they just have this tiny little corner to play around right now.
Oh, Oberon takes so much spam.
A ton of poke damage. That's going to mean Sparkle gets up to this grab. So now it's a game of cat and mouse a little bit here.
Element Mystic does not have support ultimates. Gen.G does have the grab here.
Oh, there's the Transcendence. Well timed from
Klister!
Klister gets his grab eaten though.
The Shatter!
Oh, it doesn't even matter. Takoyaki can't find anything. Oberon lays him down, takes him out. Element Mystic wipes off the point. Support ults in desperation, but it's not going to mean anything more than a few seconds off the clock. Soha's gonna try to get there with the rally, but it doesn't happen. We're going tied into halftime.
Oh my goodness, Gen.G, I think what the shenanigans that happened on Lighthouse, that's Shatter there climbing up the stairs, but the shenanigans that happened on Lighthouse continue into Paris.
What did I say? Anytime we say that a team should win the fight, they lose. Anytime we say it's going to be rough or they should lose it, they're winning these. We just need to completely invert our expectations here.
I mean, Oberon also just lands a monster of a Shatter.
That is true. Sometimes you just hit Q really well.
Yeah. And, I mean, with Earth Shatter, one of the things about Earth Shatter is that as of late, it's become harder and harder for teams to rely on that play. So Oberon does a fantastic job of closing it out there and tie us up here heading into halftime.
And we're going to close out the first half of the first series, but there's plenty more Overwatch to play, so don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to have 2 more after this.